Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about combining datasets. And datasets can be combined by different ways. And I'm going to explain one by one. The first way of combining datasets is by stacking or appending datasets. So in this method, you basically combine one datasets at the end of the another datasets, and you can combine many datasets all together. And the second way is basically side by side merge. So if you have some common variables and you can merge your dataset side by side and new values will be added, and that matching merge datasets is also one of the most common used method in SAS programming. So first I will go with the stacking or appending data sets with an example. So this was the first example. I have a data set here, data 1, and the another data set here, data 2, and there are few variables and few records. I will show you that how this data sets look like. So you can see the data 1 is has two variables and three records. The same with the data 2, and but the values are different. If I am interested in combining these two data set, combining this data 2 at the end of the data 1, what way I have to do it, like what program I have to use it. So for combining that way, for stacking or appending, we have to use set statement. And in set statement, you have to provide the name of all the data sets that you are interested in appending. Like the second data set will add at the end of the first data set. And if you have more data sets here, if you are writing like data 3, so that data 3 will be added at the end of data 2. And if you have more, likewise, whatever number of the data set you will add here, it will add it at the end of the previous data set. So this is one of the very common use program in SAS programming, and you can write final data sets, or you can write whatever the name you were interested in giving. So here I'm giving data underscore final. So this will give you a combined data set which is from data set 1 and data 2, and I'm running this program all together, so you can see that how this output looks like. So you can see this is the data 1, this is the data 2, and this is after the combining both the data. So at the end of the this data, so the second data is added here. So this is by using the set statement. So this is an example where the variables name are common here. So you can see that your variable name is id in first data, and the same variable name here, this is name, and this is the name. So that's why it's combined at the end of the previous data. And if your case is different, for example, if variables name are not common, so for example, this is a second example. So here in data 1, variable name is id and variable name is your name here, but here I'm writing another variable which is name 2, which is not common as previous data set, and I'm combining the same way, stacking one data behind another. So when I will run this program, you can see that how the outputs is going to be changed now. So this is data set 1, this is data 2, and this is after combining the data set. So you can see that the common variables are stacked just below the previous one, and this is the name variable here, which is a separate variable here, and name variables is not present in data 2, and that's why all the values are empty. And the similar way, name to variables is not present in data 1, so that's why these values are empty. And you can see the values are appearing in various matching IDs there, which is from the data 2. So this is how the output changed when variables names are not similar. So this is another scenario, and I'm moving forward and trying to explain you with some more example here. Like none of the variables are matching. Like here variable name is id, here variable name is id2, here variable name is name, but here variable name is name2. So here again the output will be changed as I explained you. So you can see this is the data 1, this is the data 2. Variable's name is different here, and variable names is different in data 2, and you can see that how the output data after combining these two data sets came. So this is we must understand that how it's changed when your variables names are not matching. And this is another example, just to make it for more clear about the process of using the set statement. And suppose if you have similar variable names and all the records are also similar, and even if you are using set statements, it will give you the similar result, like your values and variables will appear twice. So here you can see that the variables names are same, so only two variables will appear and three records here, and again the three records are repeating, but this values is coming from here. So it's like whatever the value, it's different or it's same, it will just add it as per the set statements works. So this is very important to understand. And there is a different way of uh, basically combining the data set when you are using set statements. So this is the process or program where we are using set statement where all the data set names are actually basically mentioned in the same statement. So for example, if you have data 1, data 2, so all the data set names are actually mentioned in same statement. But what will happen if you write two different set statements or three different set statements likewise? So in that case, your output will be different, and sometimes these questions basically appears in SAS certification exam. So I will try to explain those things with an example here. So we have the data 1 here again and data 2 here. We have common variables but values are different. So this is the case when you will see the say data set statements, you're writing and all the data set names in the same statements, but here I'm writing a separate set of statements for each data set. So you can see the difference, that how the output is going to be changed now. So when you will run this program, you will see this is the data set data 1, this is the data 2, and this is when you are writing all the data set name in same set statement. So you can see the output is like that. But when you will basically write different set statements for each data set, your output will be changed. So you can see that only the three observation is coming, and only the values those are in the last data sets that is coming. So it's basically replacing all the data sets from the previous one. So when I will run more program and I will show you that how it works, it will be more clear to you. So this is one example. So I'm going to run the second example here. So in that case you will see much better difference. So for example here, so here we have one data set and this is the second data set, and your variables are different. And this is using the set statements mentioning all the data set together, and here the separate data set name and in each set statement. So when I will run this program, you will see that how the output is going to be changed. So you can see that this is the combined data set when you are mentioning each basically data set name in same set statements, and here we are when you are mentioning each data set in separate set statements. So like you have a set and you're writing data 1, and then again you are completing that statement, and then again writing set, and you are writing this data 2, and likewise. So you can see the output is totally changed now. So this one, this is the first data set and this is the second data set, because the variable name is different. And you can see the number of observation here is 3 instead of 6, which is different in the set statements mentioning all the data set together. So this is the second example, and the third example will give more clarity of your understanding that how the set statements outputs changed when you are giving different way of basically set statements mentioning your data set. So here you can see if the number of records are different. So for example, in the data set we have 4 records. In data 2 there is only 3 records are there. So when I will combine these data set in set statements different way, basically the output is different, and we it will give you more clarity here that how it works. So this is data 1, this is data 2, and this is the normal set statements where you are mentioning each data set name in same set statement. So you can see the total 4 plus 3 7 observations we are getting. And but here when we are mentioning each data set name in separate set statements, so here output is totally changed. And you can see, so few things we have to notice that because variables name is different, so it will pick the first 3. So the few things we have to notice here, when you are mentioning your set statements separately, the final number of observations in the final data set will appear only. If you have 3, so the final output will be 3 observation. If you have 10, so it will observations will be 10. And suppose if you have like 10 different set statements for 10 different data sets, so the final output will be the last data sets number of observation. Whatever the number of observation is there, that will appear in your output. So that is one point you have to always remember. So here, because the final or the last data set number of observation is 3, so only 3 observations will appear in final output. And second thing is important to notice that because here variable's name is different, so that's why it's appearing like this. But suppose if variable's name is different, here id and here is id only, then in that case the final dates variables value will replace the previous one, whatever is that. So if the suppose is this id is here and id is also here, so in that case, suppose this is not there, so it will removed, and id variable will be replaced with the value 7, 8 and 9. So that is second point you have to remember. The value will also be replaced from the final data set, whatever at the end of the the program, the end set statements where the data set name is mentioned. So these are the few points you have to remember. And this is an example from the certifications exam. So suppose if we have two different data set here, the first data set and this is the second data set, and there are two different variables here, and here is also the same variables. I'm going to run this program and I will show you that how this these data sets look like. So you can see this is the A and B. You could see here is a triple A and then B, and this is the value 1 2 3 4 3 4 2, and these are the values difference. So when you combine these data with two different set statements, so I told you the final number of variables will be the same as it is of the last basically data set name mentioned in the set statements. And also if variables are common, then all the values will be replaced. So when I will run this program altogether, you will see the outputs that what I explained you earlier. So you can see that only 4 variables, because the last data set you know number of observations is 4, and all the values are from the last observation, AAAB, AAAB, like that, and it's the same here, but the X1 you can see that's all replaced. So this is the questions from SAT certification exam.